So Adi Shankaracharya ji is one of the greatest Advaitic masters of our country. If it was not for him, we would not have the Sanatan Dharma even to what it is left today. Because we should know that as time passes, as times change, every culture goes through decadence. So what is the meaning of a culture going through decadence? For that we should know what is a culture first. So it is said, so if I ask you what is culture, what will you say? Yeah, what is
culture is the traditions, the rituals, the Sanskriti that we follow, which we have been doing through generations, which our ancestors have taught us, and the good values and good thoughts,
okay?
Righteousness.
It's the environment in which we have been brought up.
The environment, okay?
Swamiji, your value and belief system.
The value and belief systems.
Yes.
So there's a definition of culture. So the definition of culture says that when a group of people stay together in a specific geographical area for a long period of time, following certain values of life, then the fragrance of their life is called their culture. So there has to be a group of people. It is not just one person. There has to be a group of people living together in a geographical area for a long period of time, following certain values. So these four aspects are there. Then the fragrance of their life that emanates from this, that is called as the culture. That will manifest in terms of their food, their language, their clothes, their rituals, their traditions, all those things. Now, out of these four, most important aspect is the values, the higher values of life. It is obviously not very easy to follow the higher values of life, and as time passes, many people become more sense enjoyment oriented, more body oriented. So one is able to not live up to those higher values and one compromises. That is called the decadence of a culture. So the Vedic culture also, though it was a very subtle and a great culture, a holistic culture which encouraged both prosperity as well as peace. It was a holistic culture to say that Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha, all of them were pursued by the human beings to live a complete life. So it was not a life of suppression or denial. But in spite of all that, the Vedic culture also went through decline. So lots of blind ritualism, animal sacrifices, exploitation of the caste system, sectarianism, groupism, many such things came about. So Hindu culture declined. And as a result, what happened? Buddha came up on the scene and Buddhism started flourishing. But when Buddha went, after some time, Buddhism also went through decline. So Hinayana, Mahayana and Hinayana, two sects of Buddhism, they also went down, and the tantric aspect of Buddhism that took over. So a specific time came when Hinduism was at its decline. A lot of Hindus have converted into Buddhism because Buddha influenced people, as well as many kings like Ashoka and Bimbisara and so many of them, they also had converted to Buddhism. So mass conversions happened. But Buddhism also went through decline. So there was a period in history when there was complete intellectual directionlessness. Neither Hinduism was inspiring nor Buddhism was inspiring. There was complete degradation of the culture, and in that atmosphere, Adi Shankaracharya ji was born. See, intellectual direction, if one doesn't have, if the society doesn't have an intellectual direction, that society will very soon perish. If that society cannot value higher values of life, does not have anything to hold on to, lives purely at the materialistic level, that society will perish. It's just a matter of time, it will just perish. So time to time, whenever culture has gone through decadence, have you thought about it, that how is it that our culture, Hindu culture, has survived through millenniums? Not just decades or centuries, through millenniums it has survived, in spite of going through ups and downs, in spite of invasions, in spite of attacks, in spite of many attempts from inside, outside to destroy it, including today. Right now, today also there are lots of attempts to destroy this culture. Why is this culture, how has this culture survived? There has to be some intrinsic beauty, vitality of this culture, because of which this survives. And whenever it has gone through decadence, that intrinsic beauty and vitality, which is the core values of this culture, a great master comes to re-establish the glory of that. So time and again, those values are brought back into daily life. Human beings are given higher way of living, an inspiration, a higher purpose, a higher ideal with which they can lift themselves out of the materialistic and completely enjoyment oriented or a selfish outlook, body oriented outlook of life. From there to lift them higher and higher, that is called cultural revival. Cultural revival doesn't happen by just doing a few things like speaking a particular language or trying to eat certain type of food or certain type of clothes. Those are expressions and they may be helpful, no doubt. But cultural revival really happens when I live the higher values of life, the deeper values of life that culture had entertained. Because that's the definition of culture. Many people think culture only in terms of its external expressions. So for them, cultural revival only means, to wear certain type of clothes, eat certain type of food, celebrate certain type of festivals. No, those are expressions of the deeper values. So at such times, whenever it has gone through decadence, there was a time when Vedas were only in the oral tradition. Veda Vyasa brought it to the written tradition. If Veda Vyasa has not done that, we would not be having the books today. We would have lost a lot of our knowledge. Even with the books, we have lost a lot. Imagine not having books at all. So he was one of the missionaries who wrote down in the written form the entire Vedic knowledge, Mahabharata, 18 Puranas, 18 Upapuranas, Brahma Sutra. And Veda Vyasa has written Ramayana also. And that is called Adhyatma Ramayana, which is the Vedantic interpretation of the whole Ramayana. So, beautiful composition Veda Vyasa has done. So, he is a rare person who has written both Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, that mighty master is the one who at that point in time ensured that the culture doesn't go through decline. But then, as time passes, everything goes through decadence. Culture also went through decadence. At such a time, Shankaracharya came up. And when he was born, there was this complete chaos in the society. Neither Hinduism was being followed properly, nor Buddhism was being followed properly. Complete materialism and lot of infighting between various sects of Hinduism, Buddhism. Now that is the situation where he was born. Now people always say that there are two different opinions about his birth. One says that he was born in 788 AD. But there are a lot of other evidences also to prove that he was born actually before Buddha also. 2500 BCE. You are saying something, but I can't hear you. You have to unmute and speak.
Son. Swamiji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
2527 years back.
Yeah, that's what. So that is another opinion. 2527 BCE. So either at that time or 788, whichever one considers. But the idea here is this, that how was he born? He was born to Shivaguru and Aryambal. They are his parents, and they did not have a child for a long time. They had worshipped Lord Shiva and did the upasana of Lord Shiva, and as a blessing of Lord Shiva, Shankaracharya was born. It seems that in the dream, they had vision of Lord Shiva, and then the Lord gave them a choice that do you want a child who would live for a long time but who would be very average, or do you want a child who would live for a short while but who would be absolutely brilliant? So the parents chose the second option. So Shankaracharya was destined to be only living for 16 years. At a very, very young age, he mastered the Vedas. His father, Shivaguru, passed away when he was 3 years old. So it was only his mother and him. And by the age of 5, his Upanayana Samskar was done. By the age of 6, he had mastered the Vedas. Just imagine, by 6 years age, completely mastered the Vedas, understood the significance of the Veda. What takes many, many years, he finished in 2 years. By the age of 6 and 7, he finished. To study Veda Anga itself will take many years. Plus, then after that, 4 Vedas. Traditionally, even grammar, if you want to learn proper grammar, it will take 12 years. Now here Shankaracharya in 2 years' time learnt everything. When he learnt everything, he had a desire that he wants to renounce the world. You see, he born by the grace of Lord Shiva, but he had also seen around what was happening around. So he had a lot of feeling for his country and for his culture. So he said, I need to revive this culture because the vision of the Vedas is so beautiful and people don't know. This is the thought at 8 years in his mind. And he wanted to take sannyas. You see, here it is beautifully written that at the age of 6, he even composed a book called Balabodha Sangraha. So he was a scholar, a great knowledgeable person. And you see, when you become a brahmachari, means you are given the Janevu Samskar, you also go, when the Samskar is given, you go and ask for Bhiksha from your parents also. And when you are studying in a Gurukul, there also you ask for Bhiksha. One day it happened that he went to a place asking for Bhiksha, and there are strict rules for Bhiksha. You can't ask in the same house again and again. What you are given, the same, you just take what is given to you. And you can't ask more than 5 houses, because 5 pranas, so not more than 5 houses. And what you get, you take to the Gurukul and then share it with everybody else. So on one occasion, Shankaracharya went to ask for Bhiksha. The lady in the house was extremely poor, but she had lot of bhav that, a young Batu Brahmachari has come, I must give some Bhiksha. So she found out what is there at home. She didn't have anything except one small fruit of amla. That's all. One amla fruit she had. With a lot of joy, with a lot of devotion, she brought that one fruit and gave it in the bowl of Bhiksha Patra of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, looking at her, he was moved to tears. He said, this is the poverty in her house. She doesn't have anything to eat, and this one little fruit she has, that also she has given to me. Instantly, he composed what we call the Kanakadhara Stotram. And there was a rain of these gold coins in that house. He invoked Mother Lakshmi, and there was a rain of gold coins. So anybody wants more wealth, chant the Kanakadhara Stotram. It is a powerful stotram. With bhav, sing it, remember Mother Lakshmi and do it. It works. When we wanted to build our Mahalakshmi Mandir at Khargar, the Murti of Mahalakshmi Devi had already come. And we wanted to build a temple for Mother Mahalakshmi. So then the upasana we used to do was that. Our devotees there in Kharghar that time, in Navi Mumbai that time. So there was a flat, and every day in front of Mother Mahalakshmi, they used to gather together and chant the Kanakadhara Stotram. And in a few years' time, that whole center came up there. Mahalakshmi Mandir is there, beautifully there. So Kanakadhara Stotram he composed. Once his mother was very, she had to go a long way to fetch water. So it so happened that there was a river called Purna Nadi. That Purna river was far, and the mother used to struggle to get water. And once she fell down, she hurt herself very much. So Shankaracharya ji prayed to Purna Nadi that can you please let one stream flow just through our house. And the prayer was ardent. Purna Nadi changed the course. Even today you will see at Kaladi, the Purna river is there, flowing there. Now they have called it as Periyar river, but that is the Purna Nadi. So traditionally people believe that Shankaracharya ji was born in Kaladi, in Kerala, in Ernakulam area. But if you know the tradition of Kerala, it is a maternal tradition. Shiva Guru was from Kaladi, but Aryamba is from Veliyanad. So the tradition in Kerala is a maternal tradition, so that woman comes to the maternal home to deliver. So Shankaracharya ji was born in Veliyanad actually. And that home where he was born, it is very sad, I tell you. The home where he was born is called Melpular Mana. The traditional Nambudri families who were there at that time, they used to maintain that huge house. It's big property, it is. But eventually they came to such poverty, they could not maintain. They wanted to sell it away. And nobody bothered to preserve that house of Adi Shankaracharya. They managed to sell it, and it passed many hands. Finally, in a very dilapidated condition it was, because even those people who bought it later on could not maintain. It's a big place. So it was in an absolutely dilapidated condition. In the 90s, this news came to our Gurudev that the owner of the Mana at that time wanted to sell it. Gurudev said, do not ask a single question to that person. Don't bargain with that person. Just buy that house and give him 1 rupee extra than whatever he is asking. And Chinmaya Mission bought that place. And today we have our Chinmaya International Foundation there. So a lot of research in Sanskrit is happening there, and there is the Chinmaya University also founded there. Indic studies are happening there. Many courses we run from there. So that place has become a vibrant place, and the birth room where Shankaracharya ji was born, that room is still preserved, and today morning we did the puja of Shankaracharya ji in that very room, and that was shown online also everywhere. So that is the place where actually he was born, in Chinmaya International Foundation in Kerala. So there when he was born, this Purna Nadi, so that was his mother's place, maternal place. Kaladi is his father's place. Today also if you go to Kaladi, there is a nice temple there they have built of Shankaracharya ji, and the Matha is also there. And so the Periyar river also flows. My point of saying all this is, he was a very young boy, but very scholarly, very kind, very compassionate, loving towards his mother also. And it is also said that there was this great king at that time, and the name of this king was Rajashekhara. That king was ruling that kingdom at that point in time. He had composed 3 books. He came there and he read out those 3 compositions to Adi Shankaracharya ji. and he got a lot of knowledge and encouragement from Adi Shankaracharya. Now Shankaracharya's thought was that I need to revive this culture. Now to revive this culture, the values have to be re-established. And one of the core values of Sanatana Dharma is that of Tyaga. Bhoga and Tyaga, they are two opposite things. So he said, I am not interested in Bhoga. I want to dedicate my life to sannyas and to serve the society. Now at the age of 8, he wanted to take sannyas. But his mother was alone and mother was quite hesitant to tell him to let him take sannyas. So one day what he did, he was taking bath in a river and suddenly a crocodile caught his leg. And this crocodile was pulling him down. He was struggling, but he was not able to come out. At that stage, he told his mother that, Mother, this crocodile has caught me, now I am going to die. And it is said in our tradition that one must die as a sannyasi, meaning one should have lived a whole life and then renounce the attachment to body and realize the absolute self. That's the glory of human body. So he says, right now I am going to die, please let me take sannyas. This type of sannyas is called apat sannyas, when sannyas is taken in exceptional situations in difficult times. So he took sannyas. Mother said, yes, you take it. So then and there he said, Bhur sannyastam maya, bhuva sannyastam maya, suva sannyastam maya. He poured the water, offered it, took sannyas. As soon as he took sannyas, what happened? Crocodile left him. Now many people say he did this as a trick. But we should understand one thing. It is also a fact that all of us are being caught by this crocodile of this body identification and in the waters of Maya, this samsara. The only way to come out of this is Tyaga, to renounce the body identification. Whether one takes formal sannyas or not, that's a different question. Shankaracharya wanted to take formal sannyas, so he took. Now when he took sannyas, he said, Mother, I have a lot of work to do, please let me go. Mother said, I have one request to make, that when I am on my deathbed, you have to be there and you have to do my Agni Samskar. So Shankaracharya said, yes, I promise, whenever you need me, you remember me, I will be there. And he left. Now just imagine, the mother is all alone now. This boy has gone. Father died already. This is the sacrifice. 8-year-old boy not only taking sannyas for the sake of the, for one is his own conviction, second is for the society to revive the culture. Second is the sacrifice they have done to leave the family, to leave the mother. The villagers will take care of her, the relatives will take care, but he has to go. And what does he do? He goes walking. He goes to Tungabhadra, from that Gokarna, and from there goes to Omkareshwar finally. At Omkareshwar, he meets his Guru. And who is his Guru? Govinda Bhagavad Pada is his Guru. You know what is the age of Govinda Bhagavad Pada? 1,000 years. His age was 1,000 years. And he was in a cave waiting there that Shankaracharya has to come. This is a historical fact. Don't ask me proof and historical records, but it is fact. Very well documented by folklore and the people around and all that. Even now, if you go to Omkareshwar to see the Jyotirling, down there is the place. On your way to the temple, down there on the right is the place of Govinda Bhagavad Pada. So there in a cave on the banks of Narmada river, he was staying there. Shankaracharya ji went searching for a guru. Now imagine an avatar of Lord Shiva who has mastered the Vedas already, who doesn't need any further knowledge actually. Even he went in search of a guru. What does that mean? This is called upholding the tradition. Bhagwan Ram had 3 gurus, with Vasishtha, Valmiki and Vamadev. Vasishtha, Vishwamitra and Vamadev. Lord Krishna had Sandipani Rishi as the guru. If Bhagwan can have guru, then what about you and me? And yet a lot of people keep asking, why do I need a guru? Without guru, what will happen? Nothing will happen. You keep reading books, nothing will happen. Because the knowledge is not from book, it is from the heart of the teacher to heart of the student. The tuning has to happen. Then only knowledge flows. And this is Brahma Vidya. We are not talking about some words. Tattvamasi to every one of us has heard. Aham Brahmasmi, so many of us have heard. Nothing happens. We are still back to samosa and kachori only. Where is the Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman? That nothing changes. But when the mind is tuned and the teacher is there who is himself or herself established, then the knowledge passes on. So he upholds that tradition. Shankaracharya ji went to his teacher and his teacher asked him, who are you? Shankaracharya ji composed Dasha Shloki. Na bhumir, na tejo, na vayu. He said, I am not the 5 elements. Then who am I? I am that pure consciousness that is ever available. That was his introduction he gave. 10 verses in introduction he gave, telling who he is not and what is his true self. He stayed there for some time, studied under his guru, and at the age of 12, so now 4 years he stayed there, studied under the guru. At the age of 12, he asked the guru, can you please give me permission to write commentary on the Upanishads? So the guru tells him, you first write commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranam. So Shankaracharya ji wrote. The guru thought he will take a long time. But Shankaracharya ji wrote that commentary very fast and he came to the guru saying, here it is. Please go through. The guru first of all didn't expect that he would write it so fast. He completed. And you know, in Vishnu Sahasranam, if you see, there are many names of Lord Vishnu which are repetitive. He could give different meanings for each of them, all as per the Vedic tradition. So his commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam is even today available. Translation is also available. And beautiful meanings they have for every name of Lord Vishnu. Such beautiful meanings are there. So many people chant Vishnu Sahasranam, but many people don't know that the commentary of Shankaracharya ji is there on it. And it has such wonderful meanings. So he wrote that commentary and he gave it to the guru. The guru started reading. Now, as he started reading, the guru could not put it down. You know, it happens, no? Like nowadays people do binge watching of the Netflix series or anything. So he was binge reading that book. Full commentary, Shankaracharya's commentary on Vishnu Sahasranam, he read it. Then he called Shankaracharya ji and he said, now you don't need my permission for anything. You can write on whatever you like. Go and write. And he wrote. In 3 years' time, he wrote commentary on the entire Bhagavad Gita, on 11 major Upanishads and on the Brahma Sutras. These 3 are called Prasthanatraya. The main books of Sanatana Dharma are these 3. Upanishads, Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. So he commented on all these 3. Now, Veda Vyasa had heard about his life and his work and how many things he has done and what all commentaries he has written. So Veda Vyasa wanted to see who is this person who has written commentary on my Brahma Sutra. Like you have for Yoga Shastra, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. For Bhakti, you have Narad Bhakti Sutra or Shandilya Bhakti Sutra. Like that for Vedant, we have Brahma Sutra, which are 555 plus sutras. So, Veda Vyasa had compiled those sutras. They are short aphorisms, but very deep. Only a person who has understood the Upanishads properly can even study Brahma Sutra. They won't understand otherwise. On that, Shankaracharya ji wrote commentary. So Veda Vyasa ji came, as an old man he came, and he said, let us have a debate on the Brahma Sutra. And Veda Vyasa ji, he is the author of Brahma Sutra. He and Shankaracharya ji are having a debate. In that debate, Shankaracharya ji won. Won in the sense, Shankaracharya ji explained all the things that Veda Vyasa ji was asking him, and successfully he answered all questions. Veda Vyasa ji said, this what you have done is most amazing. This work and all the commentaries that you have written, that needs to be shared with the people. So I extend your lifespan by another 16 years. See, at that time Shankaracharya was 15 years old. He would have gone, in 1 year's time he would have gone. That's called the prarabdha of the body. The prarabdha of that body was 16 years only. But this divine grace intervention happened for a larger cause of revival of the Sanatana Dharma. And Veda Vyasa himself is a missionary who has done that before. So he extended the life of Shankaracharya by 16 years more. Now, from that time, Shankaracharya started. You see, Shankaracharya was not just a Advaitic master, he was a great mystic person also. A lot of yoga shastra he has understood, practiced, and many mystic powers he had, but he never showed his powers because he wanted to establish the knowledge of Vedanta, because that's the crux of the entire Veda. Just before he left from there, there was a huge flood in Narmada, and lot of things were getting swept away. There was a danger that the ashram of Govinda Bhagavat Pada also would get swept away. It is at that time that Adi Shankaracharya ji went at the banks of Narmada and he put his kamandalu there and he sat in meditation, captured the entire Narmada's flow into that kamandalu, saved the entire villages below which were there, saved the whole ashram, and those people who were, a lot of people become jealous also. When a disciple gets more prominence, the other students get more jealous. So they were very jealous of him. They used to say he is only an intellectual, he can only keep talking and arguing. But this was one incident which showed his mystical powers also. So after this, he goes to Kashi, because now starts his work of reviving the culture. And to revive the culture, at that time there is a very nice tradition, is to have Shastraarth, to have this discussion, Vad Vivad. So, and which is the hub of knowledge? Hub of knowledge was Kashi. See, the literal word meaning of Kashi is to shine. Kashate means to shine. Knowledge makes us shine. And there is Kashi Vishwanath Bhagwan, there is Ganga Ji there, Annapurna Devi, and a very powerful place. Lot of scholars, learned people would come there. So he went to Kashi, and there he wanted to have discussions, and he started doing his work of sharing this knowledge, discussing with Pandits, etc. That in one of the incidents there, what happened is he was finishing his early morning rituals, and after the bath he did all his puja, etc. And as he was going, if some of you know, the lanes of Kashi are very narrow. So when he went there, he is going with some of the people who are his students. From opposite side, there is a Chandala who comes there. Now, Chandala is somebody who is considered worst amongst the human beings. That person may be working in a cremation ground and that person eats dogs. He calls Shvapacha. He means such a lowly person who does not even respect a dog who is such a faithful creature. He will eat even a dog. He will kill the dog and eat. And so this Chandala is considered very inauspicious. Now the Chandala was coming from the front. Shankaracharya said, Gacha, Gacha. Move, move. Now that Chandala said, what should move from what? Annamayad Annamayam Athvai Chaitanyameva Chaitanyat. He said this body is made up of 5 elements. This world is made up of 5 elements. Your body also made up of 5 elements. So what should move? Is Annamaya should move from Annamaya. Because all this is Annamaya only. It's all made up of food and 5 elements. So how can this move from anything? It's already made of that same thing. Or consciousness should move. Consciousness cannot move because we all are same one infinite consciousness. So what should move from what? You tell me. Now Shankaracharya ji realized that he is looking as a Chandala, but here is somebody who is a man of realization. So he falls at his feet and he composes what today we know as Manisha Panchakam. 5 shlokas. And every shloka ends with Chandalostu Sattu Dvijostu Guru Rityesha Manisha Mama. That the person may be a Chandala or the person may be a great Brahmana. But if that person has this understanding that I am Brahman, then that person is my Guru. Guru Rityesha Manisha Mama. This is my firm conviction. Very beautiful composition that is. So that is one experience that happened. Then another experience again happened in Kashi only is when he was passing by and he saw an old man saying Dukran Karane, Dukran Karane. You remember one book we did called Bhajagovindam, long back. So that Dukran Karane, he was mugging up rules of grammar. And looking at him, Shankaracharya felt intense compassion, saying that at this old age, why is he mugging up grammar? So he composed Bhajagovindam. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhajamudhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati, Dukrin Karane. When the appointed time of death comes, this rules of grammar are not going to help you. So seek the Lord, seek Govind. So that way he stayed at Kashi, he had Vad Vivad, he composed a few nice compositions. And from there he went to Badrinath. See, all this he's doing by foot, huh? Please remember. There is no train, there is no flight, nothing. He is walking by foot. Goes to Badrinath. And from the Narad Kund there in Badrinath, he brings out the Murti of Bhagwan Badrinath and he established it there. So if whenever you go to Badrinath and you have the darshan there, you should remember that the Murti was there in the Narad Kund and Shankaracharya ji established it there. And what did he do there? Not only established the Murti there, he appointed a Kerala Nambudri Brahman as the priest there. This is his patriotism and his national integration. A temple in the north is having a priest from the south. So a lot of these people who say, no, Aryans, Dravidians, north is white people, south is black people, and there was a lot of conflict between them. All this is nonsense. That is created by Macaulay, etc. to divide us. It was never like that. People have gone across this country. The country is bound by Vedic culture and this beautiful Sanatan Dharma. There is no question of this kind of division which was there. So Shankaracharya put one person there, and in Rameshwaram he put a person from the north. So exchange happened like that. So he established the Badrinath temple there, and then from Badrinath, if you go ahead, there is a Mana village. That's the last village before China. That Mana village has the Vyasa Gufa. He stayed there, and there he composed further things, wrote many more commentaries, etc. And now, having finished all that, he came down. Actually, it is said that the commentaries on the Upanishads, Gita, Brahma Sutra, he actually sat there and he completed there. Here he just started in the Gurukul where he was staying in Omkareshwar. He just started. There he went to complete it properly. And the test of Veda Vyasa also happened there. Then he starts coming down. Now his job is he wants to share this knowledge with everybody. The commentaries that he has written, and through that he wants to have Vad Vivad. So the tradition of that time is if you have a debate, between two people who are having two different standpoints. If A and B are having debate, if A defeats B, then B will surrender and accept that philosophy of A, and all the followers of B will also accept that. See, this is called open-mindedness. India had lot of these things. So one aspect is about questioning. Our culture never believed in this authoritarian aspect that we have told, so you must believe. No. All our scriptures are a result of questions that students have asked the teacher. And the student is free to believe, not believe, agree, disagree, question, do what the student wants. And the teacher will never enforce anything. That was our culture and tradition. Much before any of these other cultures have even sprung up, this is the culture in our land. And today we are being told that we are fanatic. That is so ridiculous. Hindu culture doesn't have any fanaticism in that. There is so much of flexibility, openness, ability to question. So people had this beautiful tradition. And through healthy debate, not like today's debate, what the today's debates are, they are with such vested interest. Each one holds on to their standpoint and just tries to dominate the other. There is no question of open-mindedness at all. So as a society, actually we have regressed with all the modern communications, etc., which has facilitated all this communication between all of us. We have regressed because the open-mindedness has reduced. You go onto social media and you see the kind of abuse that happens. Arey Ram. It is sometimes intolerable. See what language people use, what kind of views they have, and how they brand people. So it's very scary. This was not our culture at that time. Such beautiful open-mindedness that if I lose in a particular philosophy, against a particular philosophy, I will accept and I will evolve. So the opinions were not more important, ego was not more important, evolution was more important. So this debates he conducted across the country, and single-handedly, this one person, can you imagine his power and his glory? This one person single-handedly revived the entire Sanatana Dharma, brought back so many people who had converted to Buddhism back into the fold of Hinduism, made the Hindus who were existing more aware of their culture and more proud of their culture, that by the time he dropped his body at 32, single-handedly he had kicked Buddhism out of India. One person. Buddhism exported to China, Buddhism exported to other places, Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, wherever else. In India, very few people were left. From what Sanatana Dharma was, how it declined, and then how Buddhism came, how Buddhism declined. Now, Shankaracharya ji re-established the glory of Advaita. And remember, there was no precedent before him. See, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Today also happens to be Ramanujacharya's birthday. Shankaracharya and Ramanujacharya share the birthday. So Ramanujacharya, Vishishta Dvaitin, and Madhvacharya is Dvaitin. They both had a precedence of Shankaracharya ji. But Shankaracharya, nobody like him before, from whom he can emulate. He did all this by himself, alone, thinking of the country, thinking of the culture, traveling across the whole country. So he had debates with the Buddhists, he had debates with the Karmakandis. One great Karmakandi at that time was Mandana Mishra. So this Mandana Mishra is one. See, Karmakand means what? They believe that the purpose of life is to enjoy, is to work, is to enjoy, and through one's karma, after life also one can go to heaven and enjoy the results of one's action. So they believe in that. Now here it is, even today all these philosophies exist. They are called Mimamsakas. Even today many people will say, what is the use of just Jnana? What is the use of only Advaita? Do some action, prove something, get something, achieve something, show in the world. No doubt it has its relevance, but supreme bliss cannot be experienced by action. Supreme bliss can be experienced only by knowing who am I. Only through knowledge. Atmabodha is what we are learning. Not by any amount of action, because action will produce temporary result. It has its relevance to purify the mind, but beyond that, action can do nothing more. And whole life goes behind only action. And that also not with the right attitude. So action is not being used as a means to prepare. Action is actually getting used for binding us more, because it is creating more vasanas and more pressure. So we have to learn how to use action to purify the mind. That is selfless action. How to do the upasana to make the mind single pointed. These two are preparations. Then one can meditate on the self and realize the absolute. So Shankaracharya ji had this debate. And you know the beauty of this, I'll tell you. Who is a judge, in this? Mandana Mishra and Shankaracharya ji. Both of them are having a debate. And who is the judge? The judge is the wife of Mandana Mishra. This is the openness in this country and this culture, that Shankaracharya doesn't say, hey, you are going to be biased. He says, you do. You be the judge. And a woman is the judge. That is another point. Now, to be a judge between Shankaracharya ji and Mandana Mishra, that woman should be knowledgeable or not. So many people talk so many things that women were not treated properly and this and that, all kinds of nonsense being spoken about our culture. From Vedic times, if you open the book and see, there are more than 80 women Rishikas who are mentioned only in Rig Veda, to whom mantras have been revealed. 80. I'll send you an article which has listed so many of them. The names of so many of them, Lopamudra and all of them are there in that. 80 of them. So they were Rishi Patnis, mantras were revealed to them. They used to teach in the Gurukuls also. There was always this bhav of equality. But as I said, culture declined. So if culture has declined, that means human being, because of greed and exploitation, destroys the culture. But inherently the culture is not gender bias and the discrimination was not there. So Ubhay Bharati, that is her name. She becomes a judge between Mandana Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya. Now the condition there is what? Both of them have garlands. Whoever loses, the garland of that person will fade. And she is the moderator. Now this debate is going on and on and on. Finally, Mandana Mishra is on the verge of losing. And the decision is what? Shankaracharya ji, if he loses, he will give up his sannyas. And if Mandana Mishra loses, he will take up Advaita. So Mandana Mishra is on the verge of losing. Ubhay Bharati says the wife is the Ardhangini of the husband. So I will not allow him to accept defeat alone. You have to defeat me also. Now imagine at that point in time, anybody else would have said what? No, the debate was between me and Mandana Mishra. Now why are you coming in between? Shankaracharya ji said, okay, accepted. You want to debate with me? Please sit. Now there's a debate happening between Shankaracharya ji and Ubhay Bharati. In that debate goes on for longer duration than Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra. And in that he comes to a point where she is asking him something to do with carnal pleasure. First of all, that question is not appropriate to ask a sannyasi. But Ubhay Bharati says, you are wanting to do Shastraarth, no? Kama also is a Shastra. There is a Kama Shastra which is there. And you should be well versed in that also. So Shankaracharya ji says, okay, if you are saying that, then you have to give me time. So he takes time not to go and read, because how much can you read from the books? She has asked the question from experience. So Shankaracharya ji finds a king who was killed in a hunting expedition. He enters the body of that king. Parakaya Pravesha it is called. He enters the body of that king, experiences certain things with the wives of the king, comes back into his body, comes to Mandana Mishra's place. The Mandana Mishra's place is called Mahishmati. When we say Mahishmati, your mind will go to Bahubali. That Mahishmati is there in Bihar. That Bihar is the place which has this Mahishmati. Mahishmati is the place which is known for Mandana Mishra, a great ritualist. There he again goes back. He has the debate with his wife, wins in that debate. And Mandana Mishra becomes his follower. So now, when he became a follower, he was one of the greatest Mimamsakas at that time. Lot of people came into Advaita fold. He had already defeated Buddhists, then he defeated the Mimamsakas, then Nayayikas, then Vaisheshikas, then Sankhyas. All these are different schools of philosophy. He defeated all of them. And in Kashmir, there is a place called Sarvagna Peeth, which was there in the Sharda temple in Kashmir. Do you know where is the Sharda temple today? It is in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, in a completely dilapidated state. That is the degradation that our culture has come into. So there are 4 gates there. At every gate, there will be one school of philosophy. And if you have to cross that gate, you have to have debate and win in that debate. Shankaracharya ji wins against all of them. And he is crowned at that Sarvagna Peeth, which means to say that Kashmir was such a powerful center of learning in our country. Patanjali is from there, is from Kashmir. Shaivism, Kashmir Shaivism is from there. Rishi Kashyap, he is the founder of Kashmir actually. One of the greatest kings is King Lalitaditya. He is from Kashmir. Today, where have we come to? You also should remember one more important point. Because many people ask this question, what does it matter? Why are we doing so much this thing Nakra on Kashmir? Give it to Pakistan, let it go. No, it's not a question of that. What is it? If you know Akhanda Bharat, what was Akhanda Bharat? Right from Afghanistan onwards to Sri Lanka, Burma, Nepal, including even portions of Tibet and China. Kailash Mansarovar was in India. Shankaracharya ji had made a trip to Kailash Mansarovar before. And steadily India has been shrinking, and it has come to what we are today. In the last century only we divided and gave Pakistan and this Bangladesh. If we go on dividing, India will not remain. So it's not a question of just giving land. It's a question of identity. That the entire place has lost its Hindu identity. Article 377, when it is abrogated, for you and I, it makes no difference to us, but it is actually a big thing to happen. And even today, I have met a few Kashmiri Pandits who have settled here and in Pune and all of them. When I spoke to them, they said, Swamiji, Article 377 abrogated. Yes, there is no doubt, it is very good. But how will we go back and stay there? Because there is nothing for us to stay. It has become so Islamized, Islamic radicalization has happened so much there that how do we go there? What do we do living there? So country and the culture are very closely interconnected. Shankaracharya ji was established there at the Sarvagna Peeth, and that is the seat of learning and knowledge. That's like the crown of the country. And he ascended that peak. Then he said, we need to do much more things to ensure that this culture spreads throughout the country. So he established 4 mathas. One in Jyotirmath, which is before Badrinath in the north. One is Dwarka Math. Then is Sringeri Math. That's in Karnataka. And the 4th is at Puri, Jagannath Puri, the Puri Math. In 4 corners of the country, he established a math, gave them one Veda in charge. Each matha is in charge of one Veda to live that knowledge of the Veda, to propagate the knowledge of that Veda. Appointed one of his disciples in each of these matha, And he has also given guidelines of how to run the matha. So if you think of Shankaracharya ji even just as a leader, unparalleled qualities he had. The amount of team building he did, his communication skills, his organization skills, his leadership skills, his motivation skills, stunning they are. I am giving you only in brief. If you actually read in detail his life, there is so much more to learn about him. And in and through this process, just remember it is only in 16 years' time. He did all this in 16 years' time. Walked across this country 4 times minimum. He has gone to Assam, he has gone to Kashmir, he has gone to Kandahar, he has gone to Dwarka, Sringeri, Puri, everywhere, 4 times. And in the process, he has written so many countless number of shlokas and stotras, revived so many temples, gave knowledge to so many people, established mathas, that by the age of 32, he said, I have done this job now. You know how he went? This legendary master, he went quietly. The book that we did earlier, no, Sadhana Panchakam. That Sadhana Panchakam is his last composition. And this Sadhana Panchakam he composed, he told his disciples, and he quietly disappeared behind Badrinath temple, Kedarnath temple. He went back. He just disappeared behind Kedarnath Mandir. There is no samadhi of that great master. Nobody knows where he left his body, what happened to him, how he just went back. Quietly, no fanfare, no halla gulla, nothing saying ki bye, I'm going, take care all of you. Nothing. Absolute detachment. And what did he teach? The Advaitic philosophy that the self is one in everyone. So he lived with compassion, he lived with love, he lived with tireless service. And by 32 years, he dropped the body. That is called life. A life worth living is that which is dedicated to the country, to the culture, where one has given one's best and one just left quietly, beautifully he went. There are many other things that happened in between, but this is the gist of his life and what he went through. And he wrote, apart from the commentaries, apart from the stotras, he wrote all these books like Tattvabodh, Atmabodha, Vivek Chudamani, which are called Prakarana Granthas. So how did he revive the culture? By bringing back Advaita into the mainstream, by writing books, by renovating temples, by establishing mathas, by having debates, by encouraging people to serve. Lots of those things he did. And that's how the entire Vedic culture was revived by this one person. So when we say, what can one person do? One person can do a lot. One should never forget that the potential in us is infinite. And so today happens to be the day of Adi Shankaracharya ji. And can you believe even today, he is not a national icon at all. Forget other people. Amongst the Hindus only, is he a national icon for Hindus? Do our youth know about this great man? They don't know. What kind of role models our youth are having that they don't know. And his philosophy, Shankaracharyaji's philosophy, his works are being read across the universities in the world. People are doing research on it because they find that quantum physics and Advait Vedanta is matching so beautifully. So we have to become more aware of his life, his work, his glory, share it with the next generation, make them more aware of his life and his work. If our youth start understanding these kind of things, our country and culture will really revive, because they need to understand this. They may not understand the depth from philosophy standpoint, but even from leadership standpoint, organization standpoint, communication standpoint, there is so much to learn. If you see the composition of Shankaracharya ji, he used to use what we call Sanskrit language as a, Gurudev says he used to use it as a plastic. He can mold it anyhow, anywhere. Such beautiful aspects. You know, Gurudev used to call him the spiritual general. Like an army has a general, army general, like that Gurudev used to call, he is a spiritual general. So I'm just going to end with one small quote of Gurudev where he says that Adi Shankaracharya was an exquisite thinker, a brilliant intellect, a personality scintillating with the vision of the truth, a heart throbbing with industrious faith, an ardent desire to serve the nation, sweetly emotional and relentlessly logical. In Shankara, the Upanishads discovered the fittest spiritual general. So that is Adi Shankaracharya ji, and it is his work that we are studying even 1200 years after he wrote. And if you think his life is 2500 BCE, then much more. So our gratitude to him that what he did, that we are living this Vedic culture even today. The world's most ancient living culture is this culture. So it's our duty to preserve, protect and propagate this culture, and to be proud of this culture, and to make more people also aware of that. That would be a small tribute that we can offer to this great mighty master. Right. So for now, I will stop here. Anybody wants to ask anything, share, you are welcome.
Say anything.
Divya, you are saying something, I can't hear you.
I'm saying, Debbie, it was a good idea to ask Swamiji.
Swamiji, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear.
Swamiji, when Shankaracharya ji first started his prayers and meditation, he believed only in Shiva. It was all about Shiv, Shiv, Shiv. It was only when he went to Kashi and he saw the dead body, when Mata made him realize that she was so important, and then he started writing about Mata, Annapurna Stotram, Kanakdhara Stotram, Lalita Sahasranam and other stotrams.
No. Kanakdhara Stotram was he as a small child.
Okay, so but Annapurna Stotram and Lalita Sahasranam he wrote post when she showed him that she is as important as Shiv and she is his Ardhangini. Shiv Shakti he thought were equally important.
Yeah.
After
No, I don't know
the
about
incidents in Kashi,
which is this incident. I am not aware of this. Because he
there was an incident in Kashi when he was praying. One day he saw a dead body, and there was a lady who told him that move the dead body because I'm alone. This is my husband who's passed away and it's his dead body. So then he tried moving the dead body, but the dead body didn't move. This was actually Mata, an incarnation of her, because she wanted to show Shankaracharya ji that look, you believe a lot in Shiva, but I'm his Ardhangini, I'm Shakti, so I'm as important and you must worship me as much. And after that incident, Shankaracharya ji realized that yes, Mata is as important, and then he bows down to her, and then he also creates the Annapurna Stotram and Lalita Sahasranam and several odes to Mata, Mahishasur Mardini and several odes to Mata.
So I'm not sure of this because my understanding is a little different, that he did not have this distinction at all. Because from childhood...
Initial years, it was all about Shiva.
He is an Advaitic master. So there's no question of distinguishing between Shiva and Shakti, because in Advait we learn about Brahman, Ishvara, Maya, everything together.
Okay.
But discrimination doesn't happen. So I don't know what is the source of this. Maybe if you tell me, then I can research. Till now, what I have read in that, I have not come across this incident.
Okay.
Yeah. Swamiji. Hari Om Swamiji.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you that, like
you have become muted now.
Okay. So Swamiji, you spoke about how we could, our younger generation should even know about this. And frankly, we also don't know enough. So what is a good starting point in terms of a text, which is easy for us first of all, and then for the younger children, for like Shankaracharya, or the work that was done of this big Bharat, what you said, Akhand Bharat. I didn't even realize that it was extending all these places.
So there are books on Shankaracharyaji's life. Chinmaya Mission has also produced some after a lot of research. As I said, the Chinmaya International Foundation is where the birthplace of Shankaracharyaji is. So from there we have brought out a nice, authentic, documented, well-documented, researched book.
Okay.
Whenever I meet you next, I will share with all of you. So at least you can read and see. What we need is, we need to present Shankaracharyaji in an appealing way to the youth. What happens is, everywhere the traditional presentation is there, so they show him as a very sober person and like a saint only.
And that orange.
So orange cloth will definitely be there, but they don't show Shankaracharya talking on quantum physics. They don't show
Agreed.
Shankaracharya as a leader. They don't show Shankaracharya as somebody who was passionate for this country.
Agreed.
You see, those things have to be projected properly that the youth will understand.
So quantum physics, like supposing like in Chinmaya Center, are very nice, easy books. So would there be one such book like that which will address quantum physics? Because that's something our children all believe a lot in quantum physics.
No, we have to bring it out, but I will send out that suggestion. We will bring it out that way, because that would help the youngsters. Correct.
Yeah, because so many of them are into engineering, or at least they know about it, so it will be great.
Correct.
Thank you.
Swamiji, you have to give us dates for May.
They are very focused. Yeah, Swamiji, we think lockdown is going to go on the whole of May. So let's
we need
it.
Swamiji.
So let me check, because I need some time to do a lot of my work. So I will come back to you.
Yeah,
If
you were
I'm giving
mentioning.
if I'm giving you dates in May, whenever lockdown is over, then I'm going on a chutti.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting nervous about that. You're going to leave us.
No, because see, there are at least minimum 10 books that are waiting to be written.
Oh, wow.
The thing has come, it is there on my table, I need to process it.
Right.
And then there are talks, and there is whole Shiv Puran that I wanted to read. I am not got down to doing any of those.
Correct.
So there is
But you are
something
very technologically savvy, Swamiji, we have to say.
So that's why I'm stuck.
We'll be looking forward to
I would have
Matrix
said very, very nicely, saying, I don't know how to do classes on Zoom. We will meet.
I know. Yeah. But Swamiji, very looking forward to this Matrix movie.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Even we have shared that with our children, and we want them to see that.
Yeah. I hope they like it.
Great idea.
No, it's a very good idea. So that's what I believe they relate.
So I'll give you the date. I will send you on the.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.